Good morning, Illinois, and Godspeed, my cousins. My name is Naomi Davis, and I'm the founder and CEO of Blacks in Green and our advocacy arm, Green Power Alliance. We're conveners of the Campaign to End Energy Poverty, part of a movement for energy justice coming together across the country to challenge the century-old biases of public utilities as sanctioned by our Supreme Court in the 1920s cases of Hope and Bluefield for investor-owned monopolies created with a duty to serve all its customers with life-essential services of light and heat, to do so in a way that prioritizes profit over people. A ruling that went on to perpetuate and to normalize one of the greatest civil rights violations of our time, disproportionate harms to Black and brown ratepayers in their experience of utility service delivery. We come to you today standing in solidarity with all the suffering ratepayers, like the Orange Cord people Mayor-elect Brandon Johnson referenced on his victory night, as those hard-working families like his struggling to pay light and heat bills and thanking God to come home to see that orange cord from their window to their neighbor's window, sharing power when the juggle of bills left them short. We are proud co-founders of the Chicago Environmental Justice Network and authors of the Sustainable Square Miles System for Black community economic development, where Black communities can walk to work, walk to shop, walk to learn, and walk to play, own the businesses and the land, and live the conservation lifestyle, increase their household income through programs, jobs, and businesses in the new green economy, and be self-sustaining inside a buffer of resilience of their own creation with the financing they deserve by neighbors, for neighbors, together here in the age of climate crisis, where Black and brown folks contribute the least to global warming, yet are hit first and worst by its harms, and resourced least and last to recover from them. We come to you today in hope, in faith, in love, and in protest. But I say unto you, love your enemies. Bless them that curse you. Do good to them that hate you. Pray for them that despitefully use you, that ye may be the children of your Father, which is in heaven. That's Matthew chapter 5, verse 43 to 45. The words of this text speak with new urgency today. Far from being pious injunction of a utopian dreamer, this command is an absolute necessity for our civilization. Yes, it is love that will save our world and civilization, love even for enemies. We have a moral responsibility to seek and discover the meaning of these words and discover how we can live them and why we should live them. Because in the words of the great Dr. Martin Luther King, isn't it true that we have often taken necessities from the masses to give luxuries to the classes? Isn't it true we have often in our democracy trampled over individuals and races with the iron feet of oppression? Isn't it true that through our Western powers we have perpetuated colonialism and imperialism? We come today with these and other burning questions which every public utility and bill payer, every lawmaker and regulator, every casual onlooker and struggling householder ought to be asking today as month over month utility debt and shutoffs mount. Now as much as $458 million per month, with a skyrocketing increase just since the winter shutoff moratorium ended on March 31st. While utility companies make record profits and file for record rate increases with the Illinois Commerce Commission. We have information about the Illinois Commerce Commission and we should reach out and contact them. Because we come today to announce that our campaign to end energy poverty stands proudly in this light of faith and hope and love and protest. And that from this day forward, we find no substitute for unequivocal commitment to bring Illinois heat and light pricing more closely in line with our PIP and American standard of 6% of household income for heat and light. Right now, there are millions of people across the state who need hope and a real demonstration that companies that they fund to provide light and heat actually care and will do what can be done to reduce their struggling to pay for these life-essential services. And they are life-essential. But many of us take for granted that we can remain comfortable in the summer's blistering heat or winter's bone-chilling cold. But for millions of our cousins, these seasons mean endless suffering and defeat. For these infants, children, elders, and working-class adults, their struggle means they are deprived of the joy of learning, celebrations of daily life, and the moment-to-moment delight in just being human and alive in this beautiful world. We stand here forged in the conviction that ComEd, NICOR, Ameren, Peoples Gas, and North Shore Gas can come into alliance with Blacks in Green, Green Power Alliance, and the campaign to end energy poverty, and work to pass our energy justice legislation now. We are committed to bending every diplomatic and energetic effort toward this end. And we are certain that the moral compass of the leaders of these energy companies will swing inevitably in the direction of energy justice for all. Because the data is in. Once again, America does business as usual, producing disproportionate harm in Black and brown communities. The data is in.
The data is in. Each utility has the largest ever or near largest rate increase pending before the Illinois Commerce Commission. All electric and gas utility customers may see annual rate increases for the foreseeable future. Utility arrearages grew to $458 million in April compared to the prior month's $400 million level as reported in April. No utility program is solving the problem of growing debt reported each month or excessive energy burdens above 6%.
Data is in.
The data is in. PIP, or the Percentage of Income Payment Plan, has been shut down since September and will be shut down to new enrollees this year as well. Illinois spent $4 million more on PIP this year, an 11% increase, but served 21% fewer customers. The data is in.
The data is in. The number of LIHEAP, or Low-Income Home Energy Assistance Program applicants, is at its highest level in several years. That's 327,500 LIHEAP customers that are projected for the 2023 fiscal year. Applicants over the course of this program year are up approximately 31%.
The data is in. April update, DCEO, 7,000 LIHEAP applications received per week for the month of April 2003.
The data is in. The average LIHEAP benefit, which is the program that provides critical assistance to customers across the state, that benefit will be slashed. Even if a piece of legislation called SB 1842 is passed, the average LIHEAP benefit will decrease by $325 in fiscal year 2024 compared to the average benefit of this year. The data is in.
The data is in. Reconnection assistance grants spiked as of April of this year because so many people are in crisis. spending on reconnection assistance is up 250% this year as compared to 2022. That's the result of a 60% increase in both the number of individual reconnection assistance grant amounts. The data is in.
The data is in. Agencies are running out of LIHEAP funds, and funds expected to be exhausted as early as May. The data is in.
The data is in. Utilities reconnection policies are not serving customers. They accept the reconnection assistance grants, but they don't reconnect customers if an REH still remains. The data is in.
The data is in. No state serves more than about 21% of their eligible low-income population. We need robust discount rates to help stretch LIHEAP and PIP and other assistance dollars further.
The data is in. Illinois utility discount rate proposals are inadequate and over the board in terms of size and cost allocations methodology, and in need of statutory perimeters. ComEd and Ameren won't make their proposals until next year, and we can expect that they will differ substantially as well.
Yeah, so the data is in. And while Illinois utility companies have filed for billions of dollars in rate increases over the next few years, assistance to struggling families has not increased since 1999. Something's gotta give. Something's gotta give. That something is the PURR Act, a sensible, necessary, fair approach to improving energy affordability that protects our most vulnerable populations from disconnection. It provides a blueprint for ensuring customers have affordable bills. And we're just asking for collaboration to do the right thing and support families struggling every day to live in dignity and safety inside their homes. So we want to take a moment here to thank our lead bill sponsor, Representative Will Davis, for support of HB 2172, the People's Utility Rate Relief Act. And we're thanking our bill co-sponsors, Cam Buckner, Sonia Harper, Justin Slaughter, Norma Hernandez, Lillian Jimenez, Teresa Ma, Nick Smith, Ann Williams, and others coming on board, a diverse cohort of visionary and righteous legislators. We thank our partners and community residents who took the time to come down today to advocate for everyday families. We thank AARP, Chicago Environmental Justice Network, Citizens Utility Board, Faith in Place, COFI, Illinois Association of Community Action Agencies, Illinois Clean Jobs Coalition, Illinois Environmental Council, Elvejo, NCLC, NRDC, SETF. Yes, these are alphabets, but these are real organizations and strong, strong work. Sierra Club and the Woodstock Institute. And so we want to thank, last but not least, the utilities for opening this epoch of equity with a return to love for customers in the tradition of civil rights justice from which many of us across the generations have been forged. Amen? Amen. Amen. Thank you. People over profit? People over profit. 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 People over profit.
People over profit. Yeah.
Okay. How about why not now? Do it now?
Yeah.
Do it now. Come on, Miss Rose.
Do it now. Do it now. Do it now. We stand here today in solidarity, a number of various organizations, and although these views may not necessarily be those of those organizations, they are the views of the people who are harmfully impacted by these terrible rates, and we need relief. So the people that they represent are calling for rate relief on today. We're asking our legislators to pass the PURR Act, HB 2175, 72, HB 2172, I want you to get that right, and SB 1775. And we want everyone to understand that when we're working together to meet the need of those who are harmfully impacted by failed policies and systems, we are meeting the needs of everyone. We don't want violence to continue because people are starving and cannot pay their bills. They are cold, they have no electricity. Do your part today. Not just legislators, not just policymakers, but companies, utility companies, and the people at large. Pass PURR. Pass PURR. Pass PURR. Pass PURR. Pass PURR. Pass PURR. Pass PURR.
Good morning.
Morning.
My name is... Try that again. Okay.
I got it.
My name is Karen Lawson, and I'm a senior attorney at the National Consumer Law Center, and I manage Project Stay Connected Illinois. One of the many lessons of the COVID pandemic was that all persons, regardless of their wealth, deserve to be able to remain safely in their homes. But they can't do that if their electricity and heat and cooling has been shut off because they can't afford their bills. We're here today because energy affordability is a crisis for hundreds of thousands of Illinois utility customers. The problem is getting worse, and we don't see any meaningful action on any of the electric and gas utilities' part to take that problem seriously and address it. Instead, we're facing a litany of new rate increase requests now pending before the Illinois Commerce Commission and dwindling energy assistance funding that is expected to run out in May. The fact is, utility rates are simply unaffordable for hundreds of thousands of Illinoisans. To make matters worse, as Naomi mentioned, we haven't increased investment in these programs that help people keep connected since 1999. In Illinois, we have an antiquated, century-old system of disconnecting people who include our most vulnerable neighbors, simply because they lack the means to pay skyrocketing utility bills. Monthly zip code level data and collections show that communities of color have been disproportionately impacted by these disconnection policies. In fact, we know that the utilities actually accelerate the disconnections of customers they deem to be financially at risk. That must end. These very profitable companies can and should be doing so much more to keep people connected to essential utility service. We need a change in the utility culture that ends the antiquated system of punishing people with the hammer of disconnection simply because they're poor. As monopoly providers of utility service, they have an obligation to serve all customers, not just those who can afford the service. We need action now on HB 2172, the People's Utility Rate Relief Act, which has common sense protections from disconnection for financially struggling seniors, households with children under 6, and the medically vulnerable. And it outlines needed parameters for creating a robust discount rate for financially struggling customers throughout the state. fixing affordability should be a priority, not an afterthought for the utilities. The clock is running out. We ask the utilities to come to the negotiating table and help us fix energy poverty. And to our legislators, we ask that you demand more of the utilities that serve your constituents. Call them to the negotiating table. Pass HB 2172 and SB 1842, which funds those programs. Help us end energy poverty now. Thank you.
Yes.
Woo!
Good morning. My name is Abe Scar. I'm the director of Illinois PURR. I want to thank BIG, NCLC, Kofi, and all the other partners here today for their leadership on utility affordability. We're here today to call on legislators and the CEOs of the major Illinois utilities to come to the table, negotiate, and get a bill done by the end of the legislative session next week. Illinois policy and utility practice over the last decade have led to skyrocketing utility rates and affordability crisis here in Chicago and in other parts of the state. It's also led to record utility profits. In 2022, utilities made more than $1 billion more in profits than they did in 2014. And that's a direct result of policies passed by the Illinois General Assembly and the practices of the utility companies. We know, despite the ComEd scandal, that the utilities still have incredible power in Springfield, and they've been using it for years to stop proposals very similar to what we're proposing today. I remember in 2018 when we put a bill up on the board sponsored by Majority Leader Greg Harris that we thought was going to pass and that fell just a few votes short, and only learned years later reading in the paper about how stopping that bill was part of the ComEd scheme. And we've seen ComEd and other utilities continue to use their influence in Springfield to stop programs that would help their struggling customers. So today we're calling on them to come to the table and help their struggling customers. They're doing just fine. They have the ability to help us get something done in the next week. It's not a lot of time, but in Springfield, a week can be forever. And we know if the political power and the will is there, we can get it done. So it's time to come to the table, find a compromise, and do something to help the customers of the Illinois utilities. And so that's what we're here for today, and I'm going to hand it back to Naomi to wrap this up. Oh, to Scott Onquay from Faith and Place.
Pass PURR! Pass PURR! Pass PURR! Pass PURR! Pass PURR!
I stand before you as an advocate, as a pastor, as a policy director for Faith in Place. We know that in Proverbs chapter 31, King Lemuel was instructed by his mother to speak for the voices that do not have a voice. And so today I stand as an advocate to speak for those whose voices have been shuttered to silence by this over-oppressive utility bills that they continue to face month after month. If we would just move forward and pass PURR in the House as well as the Senate, I know that lives will be made better and utilities can still get a profit, but people can get relief and continue with their lives and have lives that are more fulfilling than each month facing enormous utility bills that they cannot afford. And so I stand with Blacks in Green and all of those organizations that have been mentioned to encourage all of our legislators to get this done and get this done this legislative session. It can be done. Pass PURR!
Pass PURR! Pass PURR! Pass PURR! Pass PURR!
Sorry. In conclusion, people, we're living in momentous times. Record utility profits, record shutoff threats, record customer debt, and record utility rate increases. This is the crisis facing millions of Illinois customers struggling to pay for heat and light, and we need policymakers to act now to protect them from losing these life-essential services. Our PURR Act is sensible, fair, making sure customers get the assistance they need to keep monthly bills affordable and requiring utilities to assist customers in accessing programs, including energy efficiency programs, needed for them to remain connected to light and heat and reap savings and comfort from energy programs that they pay for every month on their monthly bills. Our utilities are investor-owned monopolies franchised to provide life essential services. We are renegotiating that franchise agreement with ComEd and the City of Chicago as we speak. Step to the table and do the right thing on behalf of the voiceless and those without power. We must not perpetuate disparate and cumulative harms that impact financially struggling families, particularly families of color, being asked to finance programs they cannot use or live without heat or electricity because they can't afford it. Thank you very much.